Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Solar Sidekicks. I'm your host, Pat Southwell. I'm a licensed electrical inspector, and we are coming to you here on Radio Carrum community radio station at Roy Door Reserve. Last week was our first episode, and thanks to everyone who engaged with us and the feedback. It's been really great. So now I can actually say we've got a Facebook page. So you can like us on the socials if you want to. Jump on Spotify, flick us a like or whatever you do on there. And yeah, it's been great. So thank you very much, everyone, for all the feedback. Really appreciate it. And thanks to our last guest, Matt Leeson. You did a great job there, Matt. So appreciate that. First of all, I want to do an acknowledgement of country and acknowledge the traditional landowners of where we're meeting today. That's the Boon Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest. So the guest for our second show is none other than Astrid Herber. So welcome to the show, Astrid.
Thanks, Pat.
No worries. Great to have you make the trek down to Carrum. Really appreciate you making the journey. How'd you find the train trip? Was it all right?
Yeah, it was productive.
Productive, that's good. That's
I like Carrum Station.
Yeah.
Get out and see the ocean. It's lovely.
Yeah, they've done a really good job with the redoing Carrum Station. Get a pretty good view of the bay, don't you?
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely. So thank you so much for being here. You've been around the industry for a little while now. And I think what's sort of funny is we've both sort of worked at similar places and almost crossed paths a few times. But I think the first time I met you was at All Energy last year. Can't remember. You came up to me, I came up to you, introduced ourselves, and we had a good chat together.
That's what conferences are for.
Yeah, that's what they're for. Yeah, they're good fun. They're really interesting. Now, some of the places we've worked together. So was it Mark Group was one of probably the ones that stands out the most. So I was there in 2015 and you were there much before that. Is that when you started your solar journey or was it before? You were actually at another company before that, is that right?
Yeah, I started in Adelaide in 2010 for Love Energy, which is long gone now.
Yeah.
And then worked for Premier Solar for a while. The rebates in Adelaide finished and the whole state kind of collapsed as was standard for the premium feed-in tariff. But I didn't want to leave the industry, so I had to look in Sydney and Melbourne.
So did you grow up in Adelaide, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, right. What part of Adelaide did you grow up?
Fullerton was a suburb of my childhood.
Yeah, okay, great. And like you went to high school and stuff around there, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Near the beach? A lot of Adelaide's near the beach. Are you near the beach?
Everything's 20 minutes in Adelaide.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. Everyone says it's 20 minutes away and they're about 30 years behind. But no, that's not. It's not always the case. I don't want to offend.
An hour and 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. That's correct. I don't want to offend any of the Adelaide listeners who've decided to tune in. I think you've probably heard it all before.
All four of them. Nah, I feel like every time I go back to Adelaide, it's getting better and better though. Like it's really picking up.
Yeah, I've noticed also you go to have a drink at one of the pubs in Adelaide, and you, if it's in the middle of Adelaide, you're paying top dollar. I think I paid like $13 or $14 for a beer or something like that when I went in there.
Same as Melbourne, right?
It is, yeah, pretty much is. It pretty much is. They've got some good stuff happening in the middle of Adelaide.
Yeah, a lot of good food and wine.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Oh, Barossa Valley and Clare Valley, all that. Yeah, it's great. I love it up there. Actually, that's where I bought my car from, up around there. I drove it back. So anyway, that's another story.
Right.
Won't go into that too much.
Decent drive.
It was, yeah. It took me about 10, 11 hours to get home. It was in the middle of COVID and everything as well. So anyway, we'll keep that story for another day. I want to talk a little bit about your journey in solar. So you decided to move back from Adelaide. Once the feed-in tariffs and all those sort of things were finishing up. So where'd you go from there?
So I took a job with Mark Group in Sydney.
Yeah, right. So straight from Adelaide to Sydney, is that right?
Yep. And I was there for about a year, and then they opened in Adelaide and they were trying to build the team there and kept asking me if I wanted to go back, and I was saying no. But then I went back over Christmas and temporarily and helped out the new team there. And I realised that the market then was way better in Adelaide. Sydney was kind of struggling because they're all a bit out of sync. And it was nice being back. So
yeah, perfect. So did you work out of that office in North Ryde?
Yes.
Upstairs?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was on the road a fair bit.
Okay. So that sort of brings me to, what do you do? So I know you've got semi-technical background as well. I don't know. Tell me, what do you do? What do you do in the solar industry? You've been around for a while.
14 years, I think.
Yeah,
now.
14 years.
So 10 of them, I've been a CEC accredited designer.
Yep.
And my job roles have really varied, I think. You know, some design, some sales, some business development, some project management, some operations. So
yep.
I like to change it up, I suppose.
Yeah, right. So you've sort of done both sides. You've been customer facing. You've dealt with installers as well.
Yeah.
Dealt with a lot of installers.
A lot of dealing with installers. When I was at Symmetry, I had a couple of teams reporting to me.
Yeah. And a lot of like Grid Connect paperwork, that sort of stuff, applications. Were you doing that?
I've done a little bit of it. I prefer not to.
I think anyone who's in the industry would prefer not to do Grid Connect applications, whether you're in another state and you're doing the applications or you're doing them in Victoria and you're doing post-install paperwork to get them connected. It's a nightmare.
A lot of documentation and admin in solar.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so you did a few different things. At Mark Group. So how long were you there? It was just over 12 months, you said?
It ended up being about a year and a half.
Yep.
All up. 6 months of it probably in Adelaide. And then, Mark Group was I think they had a 95% staff turnover at that point. So I've met a lot of people that also worked at Mark Group because there's a lot.
They certainly did used to turn them over. How'd you find working there? Like, obviously...
When I finished, I think it was 1 year and 7 months maybe, and I remember looking around and going, there's not a single person here who was... apart from maybe, one of the managers who was there when I started. Yeah.
So how did you find working there? Like, you've been around for a while, so we've worked at good companies, we've worked at bad companies, and most companies, even if you would call it a bad company, there's been a lot of positive experiences which people do experience when they're at certain companies. So how did you find your time at Mark Group? Did you find it was like easy to fit in? Did you find it was a bit cliquey, or did you learn a lot? What would you say summarised a lot of the stuff that you learned there?
Look, that's a tricky one with Mark Group because it's so long ago. But I do think that there's a lot of interesting learnings from each and every company and role, whether it's been a overall negative experience or positive one, and sometimes those learnings kind of pop up later in a way.
Sure.
I think I've seen a fair bit of what not to do, and obviously Mark Group wasn't in the best financial position then.
Were they ever in a good financial position? I don't know if they were. Like, I'll tell you a quick little story about when I went there, because I was there. I got employed as the operations manager at the start of 2015. I'd sort of been at a role where I was doing servicing, and I sort of got wrenched out of that and got asked to go back into management at Mark Group. And I accepted the job. Everything was all fine. And I think it was around about New Year's Day or in January at some stage. And what ended up happening is on the 1st of April that year, basically they got sold to private equity. Or
I remember that.
Yeah, so whether it was sold or whether it was taken over, whatever you call it.
For $1.
$1. It was $1.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well, and a lot of debt.
There was a truckload of debt in there. But I actually, my experience there was, it was sort of interesting because there was quite an established workforce that were already there. They all knew each other quite well. And I sort of came in and I was sort of starting to get to know people, and that was all good. And then we sort of got to a point where the private equity came in, and I had to basically make a decision. All right, are you with the old crew or are you with the new crew?
There was a lot of chopping, wasn't there?
There was a lot. There was a lot of chopping. I think I sort of made my bed with the new crew, and it sort of meant a few tough times with a few things. But it was such an such an unstable company to work for at the time. And look, I've worked.
And when I was there too.
I feel like it was always sort of been like that. And like I'd worked at Truve Solar as well, so I'd sort of already seen that side of things. Maybe
you've also learnt what not to do.
I did. I certainly did learn a lot from Truve Solar and things to do at Mark Group. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting time. But also made a lot of friends and still people that I still speak to now that were at Mark Group, and yeah, still see them around the industry. So yeah,
some have dropped off, some are stayers.
Yeah, for sure. Let's fast forward a little bit to what you're doing, what you're doing now. So you're working for yourself, is that right?
Yeah.
So let me get this right. Abia?
we can go with Abia. Yeah, sure.
Okay. What are you doing now? Like, so you're working for yourself. You've got away from working for the company, doing your own thing, which is really great to see. So what are you doing? What do you do with the solar companies around now?
I think originally I started it with the thought of helping commercial, industrial end customers who often, in my experience, get a lot of conflicting information, some of it inaccurate, people, really trying to sell them something but not necessarily designing it very well. And there's a bit of a call for someone to be client side as a consultant, and help them through the process. I've seen many cases where they've got piles and piles of quotes and they just decide it's all too hard and shelve it. Other than historically not great returns at times if you calculate them correctly. But those are obviously changing and improving as costs come down and with things like VEEKs. That was the idea. But then I'm sort of, as a freelance sole trader, I've found myself working for solar businesses that have, having been around for so long, there's different people that I know from previous places that have said, hey, we need a hand with this. Can you jump in here and help us out?
So you flipped it around and you're going from the other end now, I suppose, because you're working for the businesses that are...
I'm like, I'm working for myself, but I'm still really working for clients and companies. It's never really for yourself, but there is a bit more freedom in a way, a bit more flexibility.
Look, does anyone ever actually really work for themselves? As soon as you...
Where's the money coming from?
Yeah, exactly. There's always someone you're working for. It's always someone you're working for.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've got a little bit more freedom now and you can do the things you want to do. You can concentrate on the things you want to concentrate on.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. You've obviously got to go where the money is and where the work is. I understand that. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's.
I survived the first year, and apparently a lot of new sort of consultancies don't. So, and no, I think that's last year was a good year, and this year's looking to be even better, I suppose, and sort of settling into it and trying to get my own processes and things a bit better. It's a little bit challenging sometimes doing everything yourself.
Yeah. When did you take the plunge? So you started your business, and when did you sort of say, right, that's it. I'm not going to be working for companies anymore. I'm actually working for myself. I'm doing it full time. When was that date? Or roundabout?
The Abia website went up January last year, so I consider that's kind of when it really started.
Yeah.
Although I was sort of working on it a bit over Christmas time the year before, but that's that like lull period where nothing really happens, and I just had a bit of a break at this. Well, working on it, having a break, kind of, which was sort of probably needed. Felt a bit burnt out after the 13 previous years of solar coastering.
Yeah, we've all got our stories with that, don't we? Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. And congratulations on taking the plunge and for getting through your first year. Did it sort of start as a bit of a part-time thing and then worked its way into being full-time? And because I think what I'm trying to get to here is what a lot of people think about when they're going to go out on their own. It's really hard to take that plunge and to go, am I going to have enough work? Yeah, look, probably get a day or two
definitely
here.
Scary.
Yeah, but you made the leap, right?
Yes.
Do you feel like once you made the leap, it all sort of came to you a bit more, or is it
pretty much?
Yeah,
in a way. But I didn't want to be working 60 hours a week, at the time either. So I probably am working about 50 or 60 hours a week now.
Yeah, okay. How's that work-life balance? Is that good?
Yeah.
Well, you're doing
but I only have myself to blame. So
yeah. Well, you're doing what you want. You're doing
and
what
I
you love.
enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. All right, no worries. What we'll do, we might go to our first word from our sponsors, and once we come back, we'll talk about some industry challenges and how things have been over your 13-year career, and we'll dive into that. Okay, we're back from our break now. So next thing I wanted to dive into you with Astrid is this is an extremely male-dominated industry, right? There was only like 1% of solar installers, maybe designers as well. I'm not sure what the numbers are now, but that was a known figure for a long time. How do you go in a male-dominated industry? How have you found it? Because there hasn't been, up until, I suppose you call recently, it's been building, but up until recently, there hasn't been as many females working in and around the industry. So how have you found your journey? And do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I would say definitely in the early days, women were few and far between. There's not often a lot of women in sales or electrical engineering or electrical trades.
Yeah.
There's not been many female business owners or managers. So,
yep.
Just sort of scattered here and there, the odd admin person, maybe HR if a company's big enough, marketing. Yeah. But historically, very, very male-dominated and male-heavy, which I think it never really bothered me because it was just normal and how it is, but it was pretty noticeable when you go to a conference and there's 5 women and thousands of men. But I think it just is how it is, I suppose. And then as I did actually work for some places that had some women working there, I realised that it can be great. Like I think Verdia was probably the first place that had about 50-50 in Melbourne. In fact, I think we were one woman higher potentially. And
one higher than 50%?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I think, that they hired very well and
yep.
Met really great people at that business as well.
So they're looking for diversity in their hiring process. Was that pretty clear?
Yeah, I think they'd sort of set the quotas,
yep.
And companies are doing that more and more. But I guess the reality is if there aren't the people available, if you said we want to have 100 electricians and 50 of them have to be women installing solar panels on a roof,
yep.
I'd say good luck.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, you need to have the recruitment to back that up. You need to have people interested enough as well to be able to fill those roles. And it's in the past there just hasn't been. I suppose there hadn't been that appetite, but it's certainly changing. Yeah, it's certainly changing now.
There's a big push for women in STEM, women in trades, and
yep.
so the sort of youngsters now. I mean, I remember at high school, I loved tech studies and making things, but nobody ever said to me, "Oh, you could consider doing a trade."
Did you ever consider it? Did you ever consider doing it? I mean,
when I installed solar panels for a month, the guys said, "Oh, we thought you'd come and not do anything on site, but you've actually been great. You're better than any of our apprentices. Why don't you do an apprenticeship?"
Yeah,
this is a few years back. And I was like, no way, I'm wrecked after a month of walking panels across icy roofs.
Yeah, well, it
kills you.
Yeah, that's right. It's tough going. Installing solar, it's tough going.
And that was winter. I can only imagine in summer. Like they say it's a young man's game as well, so it's not even a gender thing. It's a rough job, and I have a lot of respect for people who carry it out day in, day out and get it done.
Yeah, it's certainly difficult. And if I only look at, I probably only really did it for a reasonably short amount of time, and I still feel like my body is still feeling the effects of it. It's tough.
I remember an electrician saying you have to be solar fit. I was like, okay, that's a thing, solar fit, because he hadn't done solar for a while and was back on the job, and it's just and not. I mean, I think he might have been in his 40s, so not young but not old. Definitely getting the young lads to do all the panel walking out.
Yeah.
But now that with them being more than 2 meters high as well, a lot of them, it's pretty challenging to carry them. And it's meant to be two people, but that's not what happens, is it?
No, that's right. A lot of the time they don't. They end up doing it a way which, would potentially be considered unsafe. And, yeah, I still feel like we need to get better.
By the time you get there, they're all down and you don't know.
Yeah, pretty much. With me, there is. That's pretty much the case. Have you found it all? Do you feel like you've ever? You don't have to talk about any specific times, but do you feel like there's ever been instances where you may have missed opportunities because of your gender?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember once being told that I was the highest performer. This is quite a lot of years ago. In the role, but that they couldn't promote me because older men wouldn't like reporting to me, essentially, to a younger woman.
Really?
Yeah.
They said those words to you, Day? Was that just what you felt, or did they actually?
It was said. I
Wow.
can't remember verbatim, but it's not something that I made up in my head.
Wow.
But yeah, I do think that's an issue, and it's sort of if you're trying to find someone who can go into a management role, what impact will that have on the team? And even if somebody is a good leader but people don't want to follow because of their own mindset, then what can you do about that,
Makes it difficult.
If people, are sort of 20 plus years older and for some reason they're more comfortable reporting to a younger man than a younger woman.
Yeah, well, that's where we need change from the leaders and them to actually show some leadership. And singing from the same hymn book from what I think anyway. I can't believe people would think that. I mean, I can see how it was the case years ago.
Yeah, I'm probably talking 8, 9, 10 years ago
but
now.
Even still, there's been a lot of education in that time. Anyway, it's happened.
Now it's hard to be a white male, I've heard.
Look,
We've overcorrected maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah, look, I mean, I still think there's probably opens up a whole nother conversation, that one. But I can understand that sort of point of view, but I still think it would be, even the opportunities I've had, I feel like maybe I wouldn't have had them if I was female, potentially. I mean, I don't know. You never know.
Yeah.
Hindsight's...
It's impossible to say, and one opportunity can lead to another opportunity.
Well, so have you found now that workplaces are becoming more diverse, have you found that that's been a positive? Has it been better working with females and people from other ethnicities and other walks of life and all those sort of things? Has that been a positive?
Yeah, definitely. I like the diversity. I mean, I'm thinking back, I think Verdia might be the only company that I worked at that actually did have that kind of ratio, though, out of 14 years and a multitude of companies. But then I guess, working for Symmetry last, there just aren't many female electricians. Most of the workforce are electrical.
Yep.
As an installation business, we did try to hire a female apprentice late COVID, but she didn't want to get vaccinated, and at that time you couldn't go on site without a vaccination.
That's right.
So it's like, well, that's a problem. We kind of need you to be able to go to site.
Yeah. Yeah, that does make it difficult.
I think she was teaching yoga, but she'd done the electrotechnology studies pre-training and then was struggling to find an apprenticeship apparently, and had gone off doing the yoga teaching. And so it seemed like a great opportunity to bring someone in that was already engaged. But then we couldn't get past the vaccination thing.
Yeah, okay.
It's obviously all changed and relaxed now, but it was pretty intense at that time.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's probably a period of our life we don't want to. I don't know. We all don't really want to talk about those times when we were locked up, do we?
It's traumatizing.
Yeah, it really was. Anyway, yeah, you're right. We're out of
half of COVID working for Solpod that were trying to innovate and manufacture, and that wasn't a great time for that.
Yeah.
The whole commercial market was pretty sluggish.
Yeah, right. Well, now we're back in the offices and all those sort of things. Do you work in the office much?
I've got a home office set up at the moment.
Yep.
So thanks to COVID, I haven't beautiful electric standing desk, a ginormous monitor, and everything's there. So I have been considering a pod at a co-working space, just to sort of segregate, because I'm talking about the work-life balance thing. I probably sometimes just look at the clock and it's 8 p.m, 9 p.m, and I'm like, I should probably stop working. At some point.
Yeah, well, you probably do need to learn that. I must say, when we were exchanging a few emails about this podcast, I think I got one from you at about 20 past 12. But I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah, look, I
could have scheduled this in for the morning.
You could have. Look, and the problem was, like, I'm pretty sure I was still up to receive it, so maybe I need to listen to myself a little bit there.
Well, here's another reason I could never be a tradie, because I hate getting up really early.
Yeah.
You know, my sleep hours should be midnight, 1 a.m. to 8 a.m. or something, you know. So if I had to get up and go on site at 5 a.m, I mean, I suppose you get used to it, but...
Yeah, I think you do a little bit. Solar installers, it's pretty much a 5 a.m. Or if you're in... What I noticed, if you're in Queensland, they seem to all like meet at like 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I think it's going to get hot.
Yeah, it's going to get hot. The sun comes up earlier there because of how far east they are in like southeast of Queensland, and also they don't have daylight saving as well. So your body clock would have to adjust to that. And
then it's like, can your body clock adjust? Because we do have a programmed circadian rhythm. So, you know, are you going to just be fighting with yourself?
Yeah.
Like, people who work overnight have more health problems. Shift workers have health problems because it's not natural. So I think there's part of that journey, getting to know yourself and saying, okay, this is what fits for me and this is what doesn't. The things that you can't change, which maybe my circadian rhythm wouldn't change.
Yeah, maybe. So I mentioned mental health in our industry, and it's a lot of people in the industry. It's been a bit of a focus, like especially since COVID, I suppose. We've all been thinking about our mental health.
Yeah.
It's such a tough industry that we're working in. It takes a certain person, I suppose, to work in solar.
A crazy person.
Whether you call it a crazy person, I think it takes a resilient person as well. You have to be quite resilient. You got a pretty thick skin. How do you feel about how we deal with those sort of issues in our industry about mental health and about how crazy it is? Have you got any comments on that? Like, it's a difficult, because it is quite difficult for everyone. We've all got our own ways of dealing with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I see a lot of stress and pressure, and the instability of the industry seems to filter down. You see, you know, business owners struggling, employees struggling, and at different times, sort of, you know, over the whole period. When everything's going well, it's not so bad. But I think that's definitely had an impact on my mental health at times. And I think there's a few layers, you know, being sometimes the only female or not many, I can at times feel a little bit unsupported or a bit excluded. So if there's a lot of stress and pressure on top of that, and then, you know, adding to that, I'm one of the everybody that now has ADHD, although I'd say I have had it my whole life. But was
interesting.
Only
Is that
diagnosed a few years ago? So I think I'm
right.
I'm probably call in if there's any other women in the solar industry that are neurodiverse. I mean, it'd probably be a pretty small group. I don't know any.
Look, it's probably higher than you think, but look, maybe it's a small number. We don't know. Well, a lot of people don't talk about it. So I want to say congratulations for bringing it up, and for getting your diagnosis. That must have been a pretty difficult thing to be able to do.
I think it was a bit easier when I did it, because what I'm hearing now, I've talked to a lot of other people in recent times that are getting a diagnosis and on a few sort of groups, and seems like there's crazy wait times, insane fees. Like, it's very. I think it was actually when I was at Enviro Group, and I used to work with Brendan Laidlaw, and he's one of the early people that said to me, "I reckon you've got ADHD," and gave me didn't give me any of his meds, which I found really do help. So, but I think it was probably a couple of years later when I actually got diagnosed. But it definitely seems really common now, and it's interesting the people that have recently told me that they've got a diagnosis, and I'm like, yep, that checks out. You seem and they're often people I get along with well, you know, like interesting, smart, funny people, like.
And
kind of a bit weird, like, I think that's the thing. Anyone that's been in the solar industry for 10 plus years is probably a bit of a weirdo. And I've always enjoyed that. Like.
See, maybe there is more than you think. But I think there is.
It's also underdiagnosed in women.
Yeah, right.
Especially like as children, because they assumed that you'd be hyperactive and throwing chairs and things, whereas with women it's more of a chatty, overactive brain and mouth.
Is that how you feel it is with you? Do you talk a lot more than someone who doesn't have ADHD?
Very talkative, disruptive child. Yes, in school, and so if you look at the reports, but I think I was also I also did aptitude testing when I was really young and was labelled as highly gifted. So I think it also slips through. My doctor said you're twice exceptional because you're gifted, but then you also, and they're like, you're in a genius category. Everything should be easy for you.
Yep.
But didn't recognise the neurodiverse brain structure as well.
Yeah, right. Is it now you've got the diagnosis and you're learning to live with it. And I mean, you've always lived with it, I suppose, but now you're living with the diagnosis. Has that helped you in your work life and your professional life, knowing now that this is something that is real, and it's something like you don't have to feel weird or excluded or anything like that. Like, does it help you with your professional life?
I think working for myself has helped me with my professional life in that way. Like.
Do you mean more you can control your own boundaries and those sort of things?
Yeah, I think so. Bit more flexibility. I definitely struggled in like large open plan workspaces, and I think I didn't realise at the time initially, but then looking back, that's because that's just not good for ADHD brain types, and there's a lot. You know, there's just too much going on, and I can't shut out all of the other conversations and phone calls that are happening on the other side of the room. Which makes it very difficult to focus on a different task. But then also, you know, medication can help, but there's no silver bullet, I suppose. And I think recognising and managing the way that you are and trying to align life with the things that are not flexible. You know, I can't change my brain, really. I guess that's kind of what medication does, but temporarily.
Yeah, right.
They say it's like putting glasses on. You know, if you're short-sighted and you put glasses on, then you can see clearly, and it's like glasses for your brain kind of clears the noise and fog.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. I clearly don't know enough about it, and that's definitely prompted me to learn more. And again, I want to say thanks for sharing that, because it's not. It can be a difficult thing to talk about. There may be some people that may not accept it, and you may come up against it. I'm not sure. You would know.
4 or 5 years ago, I definitely didn't talk about it at all, and there was this. Some people, I think, had the mindset of it's made up or it's just an excuse, or like, you know. I think that's changed in recent years.
Yeah.
Although if you want to be anti, then it's that sort of sentiment of, why does everybody suddenly have ADHD? You know, there's still some sort of naysayers and well, they're probably always going to be naysayers, those type of people. But that's a few dinosaurs still kicking around.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Well, I really appreciate you mentioning it, and because hopefully, if there's other people who are thinking about discussing it or being diagnosed, if they think that they may be.
I think you can do an online quiz pretty easily.
Can
and
you?
there's
Okay.
a lot of these sort of quiz things, and that'll be a bit of an indicator, asking the same sort of questions that you would be asked in a professional diagnosis situation. And if it comes up and says you're highly likely to have ADHD, then you might want to escalate that to a professional.
Yeah, perfect. Great. Look, this I'm so glad you sort of uncovered this, and it's really good. Hopefully, it does encourage people to discuss it more, create more awareness, and just be more accepting of the way people are.
Yeah, we're all different.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of an issue, expecting everyone to fit into the same little mould.
Yeah.
Whether it's there's a lot of push now on inclusion for neurodiversity, for gender, for a lot of different aspects of diversity. And you see big companies, big corporates try to have that in there, but the smaller companies, I think, struggle with it. This is a very intense, high pressure space at sometimes, and if there just might not be the opportunity to really cover off all of these inclusion things.
Yeah, right. Well, I noticed working at the CEC, they were quite good with it.
Yeah.
Larger organisation.
Yeah, government.
Yeah.
Government are good
Yeah.
with it.
Well, they're not government, but they're about as close to government without being government as you could be. But yeah, they had a lot of stuff around inclusion and diversity.
And they're really strongly pushing the women in renewables, which is great.
That was the next thing I was going to sort of mention. So that was a nice little segue you brought in there to women in renewables. So you've had a bit of a involvement with the Women in Renewables program at the CEC. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So the first year that they started the Chloe Munro Women in Leadership Scholarships, couple of friends prompted me to put in for it, and to my surprise, I was one of the selected people.
So did someone else nominate you, or did you were just encouraged to nominate yourself? Were you?
You have to apply yourself.
Yep.
I remember being in lockdown. I'm pretty sure it was lockdown, and putting it together at like 11 p.m. on a Sunday night, and it was due right then. So just slipping it in last minute. In fact, if it wasn't for COVID, I might not have got that opportunity, because I probably would have been enjoying myself.
Something to be grateful for from COVID.
Yeah, there's always a silver lining.
Yep.
But yeah, that program was really great, and I think meeting the other recipients in Melbourne, so we all still stay in touch and catch up as regularly as we can. It's quite hard. One of the girls has had a baby now, but organising sort of lunch catch-ups, and now the new every year, so it's on the third year now, the group gets bigger and bigger. Someone was talking about putting together a bit of a directory the other day, which I thought was a great idea, because you've got people working in EV charging, people working in carbon accounting, for distributors, for AMO.
A CEC directory, do you mean? Or just
for the of all the women, so that we can sort of have this, this little community that's growing and help each other out. But I guess we should all be helping each other out, irrespective of gender.
Yeah.
But I definitely think the relationships have been really great, and there's a nice sort of support system there.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of you that all sort of catch up, that's really nice. You still catch up with each other?
Yeah, the 5 of us in Melbourne catch up in person, but then there's also teams, because people are scattered around the country, team sessions that are organised ideally once a month. It doesn't quite happen that regularly. We had a bit of a break over Christmas and early in the year.
Sure. So what came out of that for you? So you met a whole lot of people. Anything else like?
We did go through a Women in Leadership Australia program, and that was quite good. Challenging to manage time-wise, with the commitments of doing that and being in a pretty demanding role at the time. But there's definitely some good learnings from that, although in some ways I feel like the people end up being the thing that stays with you more, and then where there's real value.
Yeah, okay, great. Well, that's interesting. And probably a good time to mention AWISE as well, the Australian Women
Yeah, they've had some
in solar energy.
Great events that I've been to. Really
Yeah, they really have, and I feel like that's more of a grassroots sort of thing, like the Women in Renewables for the CEC. A lot of the member companies with the CEC are on the, I don't know, I should call them on the higher end. They're not they're not the grassroots solar companies that a lot of the industry works in.
It's quite broad.
Yeah, it definitely
that
is.
Sort of overarching sector.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so
WISE is really solar. Yeah, women in solar.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've been to a few of those events as well. Yeah, a lot of fun actually. Good personal development which comes out of it too. And yeah, that's actually my favourite day of the year when we have the AWISE event and then we've got the Cutters drinks that night.
Yes.
Getting to catch up with everyone.
Yeah.
In the solar community that we're all in.
I think it was last year I went from a CEC Women in Renewables thing to another thing to AWISE. It was AWISE to CEC Women in Renewables to Solar Cutters. Yeah,
right.
It was a big day.
So does that mean you missed me singing on stage, or were you there for that?
I did miss you singing on stage. Hopefully there's a video.
Oh, there is. Yeah, it was one of those. It was one of those things. They actually, it was to get out of your comfort zone.
Okay, right.
So which is a big thing with people trying to learn that.
Public speaking is one of the biggest fears for anyone, right?
For sure. Well, I didn't know what they were going to do. So we actually were all. They had the MC was talking about a whole lot of stuff, and they mentioned something about. So is anyone watching any of the singing shows on TV at the moment? I'm like, oh yeah, I'll watch it. I'll put my hand up, and she said, yeah, I know. Well, she said, oh, who's your favourite person? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I made a comment. I didn't really like so and so, whoever it was. Might have been Guy Sebastian or something like that. She's like, oh, maybe you got the wrong person. I'm like, oh, no. Well, I like, I don't mind listening to Rita Ora. She seems all right. And she's like, all right, no worries. All right, come with me. Got me up on stage with two other people, and they're like, right, you're out of your comfort zone here. You have to sing. You have to sing. And I'm like, well,
Rita Ora.
No, well, she said, yeah, you can sing Rita Ora or a bit of Taylor Swift. I think one of the other ones did Taylor Swift, and I just went with the old favourite Fleetwood Mac because I'm like, I don't know what to sing. I'm like really embarrassed up here,
absolutely,
but we did it, and it was great, and it was a lot of fun, and now I'm glad I did it, even though it was so embarrassing. I'm glad I did it, and these type of events help you engage in that way and help you bring out your confidence. And
when you're in a supportive environment, that helps too.
It really does. It really does. And you hear in those type of events that's a lot of the barriers that women have got. They don't speak up sometimes, and you can speak up, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. And just because you're a woman, you can still say things, and that's everyone should be able to do that. And I think it's really good they encourage that to help them be successful in their professional career.
Yeah, so, I think I'm quite vocal. Maybe I speak up too much sometimes.
Yeah.
Or just can be borderline too direct.
Yeah.
So I think as I've grown up, I've recognised that.
You've recognised it? Yeah. You think it's got you into trouble sometimes, has it?
Maybe. Yeah. They also say that women are interrupted a lot more. There's been studies, and I definitely have found that people sort of override or cut you off as a woman more than they would to a man. And once you've read that article and have it in your head and start looking around, you sort of see it.
I must say, I definitely see that. So in my job, I work with a trade assistant, right? I've had three or four separate trade assistants. 3 of them have been female, and 1 of them has been male.
Yeah, right.
So, and most of the time I'm working with a female. It's funny because when we're out and we're speaking to customers about the system, about doing the inspection, my trade assistant sometimes takes over, and because they've learned so much, they talk about the system, they talk about the documentation, they talk about the paperwork, and all of these certain things, which is great for me because I can go and then do the inspection. And it doesn't take up time.
It's efficient.
Yeah, it is. It's really good, and they've learned so much about solar. What's really frustrating is my trade assistant will ask the question, and then the customer will then answer back to me.
That happens so much. That's happened to me so many times in commercial and industrial projects, and especially when having meetings with a client, and there's an engineer and a CFO and usually a room with a bunch of men, and this happened a lot when I was at Enviro Group actually, and even if someone was junior to me, they would always defer to the guy. And then he would have to kind of like hand it back to me. Yeah. Which is pretty frustrating.
It is frustrating. I mean, it's frustrating for me seeing that. Like I'm looking at going, someone's talking to you here. It's actually rude to look at someone else when you're answering.
And that's the thing. It's a deep-seated programming though, and especially the sort of older generations, I think as well. And so I don't, I sort of think I don't blame them for that in a way, but I think some of those little things can just gnaw away and be compounding, like, I think they're like microaggressions or whatever that they call it. And individually, none of them really should have a big impact. But after, decades of it, then things can start to grind on you a bit, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, I think those sort of things should change. That's the sort of stuff that, really shouldn't have to deal with. I mean, I try and do little things without trying to be too passive aggressive, because there's a problem is they're a customer, and I can't just say, look, she's talking to you. You need to look at them. I can't be as frank as that. But I'll do things like when they're talking to me, I'll look back at my trade assistant, then to try and direct their eyes back to them. Yeah, sometimes that works. Yeah, because you're right, it's a subconscious thing. A lot of these people, they don't even know they're doing it. Yeah, they don't even realise. So education's probably the answer for that.
Yeah. All right. They might not want to be disrespectful to you as well. So it's not, it's not an attack on your trade assistant at the same time. It's just a sort of default setting of his.
That's right.
He's the guy in charge here.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we're going to cut to another break, and then we've got a few things just to talk about in the industry that are happening at the moment.
Sounds good.
A word from our sponsors. Okay, we're back from the break. So a few other things I wanted to mention in the industry which are happening at the moment. But first of all, I just want to mention Astrid. First time I met you, actually, I think when we were in at All Energy. Or was it? Oh, it might have been in Sydney. No, it was in Sydney, wasn't it? We saw each other in Sydney at the Smart Energy Conference, and you had an issue with your wrist. Is that right? You hurt your wrist. Feeling better now?
I think it would be easy to be confused because at All Energy, not last year but the year before, I had cut my hand, a 1 centimetre cut on a shoe rack that I ended up going into the hospital the next day thinking they might put some glue on it or something because it was kind of open on my hand, and they ended up saying, actually, we're going to do surgery. And I'm like, what? It's like a
surgery.
1 centimetre cut on my
you got a battle scar or not? On your hand?
Just a little one there.
Yeah. You can still see it. I'm sure that comes out in the cold a little bit.
Yeah. Well, they actually cut my hand open and repaired a ligament and said it might have slipped off your knuckle, your tendon might have slipped off your knuckle down the track, and then you wouldn't be able to operate your middle finger properly.
Right, okay.
So I might have just...
It's pretty serious.
Yeah, might have just been out. So that was... I was wearing a cast to that All Energy, but then you're thinking of Smart Energy.
It was Smart Energy, wasn't it? Just in Sydney, when I saw you in Sydney.
I had a different arm cast on my other hand.
Yeah.
Because I had a little incident riding my electric bike through the park near the MCG, which is right near where I live, going over a crossing of Jollymont Station, but it's not the one I normally take. And I didn't realise, it was nighttime, very dark. Yep. I didn't realise that it turned into a staircase. And
sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but it's kind of funny now. You're okay.
I'm laughing about it now. like very lucky I didn't break my back or
Yeah.
my neck or something. But so I had my quad lock on, great product.
Yep.
I don't have any shares. But Google Maps on my bicycle told me to ride over it, which I think is a bit of an issue.
Yeah, that's a problem, isn't it?
And that it's very, very poorly lit. But so I smashed up my face and had a little fracture in my hand. But pretty much past all that now. And that is only the second fracture I've had in my whole life. The last one before that being in primary school, I think. So I'm a little accident prone, but maybe not as much as you might think based on those two occurrences.
Well, that's not too bad. At least you're feeling better now, and I'm grateful for that. One thing I want to mention, I had an incident yesterday. I can almost laugh about it because I'm reasonably okay, but I've got now 4 stitches in my leg. So I ended up at the doctor's yesterday afternoon. So I was doing an inspection, and I actually stood on a tile, which I still not sure exactly what happened. Stood in the right spot and everything.
Terracotta tile?
No, it wasn't. It was one of those old concrete ones, like from the 1950s though.
Right.
I think they might be called bungalow tiles. I'm not 100% sure, but horrible. And I knew it would look like a pretty fragile roof, and I'm like, okay, I've got to be really careful on this roof. And I didn't even stand in many spots. And then I went to sort of go next to the array, and my foot's just gone straight through.
It just would have been fragile and ready
so.
to go.
I must have been. It must have been. Anyway.
Well, lucky you didn't lose your leg.
Oh, I know. I am lucky because, the doctor actually said, look, you probably can get away without stitches if you want. I'll give you the option. You can come back at 4 o'clock if you want stitches. And then I thought about it for a little while, and then at about 10 past 4, I'm like, I should get this done.
So you put 4 stitches in though?
Yeah, 4
so
stitches.
Those were options 0 or 4.
No, it sounds weird. Well, he pretty much said that if you don't have stitches, you'll have a slightly bigger scar, and it will take a little bit longer to heal, but it'll be less invasive, and you can probably, I mean, they don't say for sure, but you can probably do more normal activities in that time.
You don't have to worry about pulling on the stitches.
Exactly. Yeah, and then I sort of thought, well, it's a pretty physical job I've got, so I want it healed up pretty quick.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm meant to be umpiring my son's practice match for football tomorrow morning right here at Roy Door Reserve. And anyway, they've said no running, but look, we'll see how we go. So, I suppose what I was getting to is we're always talking about safety concerns with solar installers about falling from heights. Now, not necessarily a falling from heights issue, but it's another hazard up there. So my foot's gone straight through this brittle tile.
And you weren't even installing anything. Imagine if you're carrying a panel. I've heard so many installers on residential roofs that have had their feet go through.
That's right. It does happen, definitely.
What can you do about it, though?
Oh, look, it's just, I don't actually know. I suppose I don't know.
Work in C&I and on big flat metal roofs.
Yeah, pretty much. Well,
I've heard many installers say, terracotta tiles, nah, just don't even want to
bother. Yeah, that's right.
Especially the old ones.
Definitely.
Turn into dust.
Yeah, it's like walking on biscuits. It's pretty much makes things impossible.
Please have 800 spare tiles ready to go.
Yeah, well, this is the thing about this job as well. So when it's all happened, I've actually the tile's gone through and hit the ceiling. So my first concern, which was a bit silly, wasn't about my leg. It was
the house.
Was there any damage underneath? Got my traces to check. No, there's no damage or anything like that. Great. All right, I better pull my leg out now. Okay. Anyway, we worked through all of that. But
the gushing blood down.
It actually wasn't gushing. It was reasonably, there wasn't too much
controlled.
Blood. Yeah, I'm tempted to put some photos up on social media. Maybe. All right, I will. I'll put them up. I'll put the photos up. So I ended up speaking to the customer who was really good about it. So it was the homeowner. She was home with kids and told me that, we don't have any spare tiles because the installers used them all on the installation. I'm like, great. So
it's obviously an issue then with their roof tiles are fragile.
They knew. Yeah. They definitely knew. Well, I ended up driving down to Bunnings before getting medical attention, driving down to Bunnings and getting a tarp.
Wow.
Just to make sure, because there was rain pending yesterday. Yeah. It could have rained.
Oh, the skies have been opening in Melbourne.
Exactly. And it was raining this morning, so I wouldn't have been able to get there first thing in the morning. But so I ended up, just as I was about to put the tarp on, the the homeowner's husband, the other homeowner, turned up as the saviour. He was actually, I think he might have been a wall tiler or something like that. So he was a tradie and a subby, and he's like, look, I've heard what's happened. I got some spare tiles. I got 10 on the way home, and he helped me put them up. And I'm like, you're a lifesaver. How good is this? This is great. And then I was able to go get medical attention, which is the next thing. But so it sort of turned a very, very difficult situation into one that was, I suppose the best that it could have been. So anyway, solar installers, please be careful on roofs. Falling from heights is one thing. There's other hazards around as well. So be careful of that. So that's the first piece of news, I suppose, in the industry. The other one I just wanted to mention was the issue with the panels at the moment. There seems to be, with the new certifications, the 1st of September, that date's looming pretty quick. There's a lot of talk about instability with panel prices, or they're a bit cheap at the moment, then they're going to go up, and we've got to make sure they're all on the roof, the ones that are in stock at the moment, before the 1st of September. So that's going to be it's going to be a bit of an issue. A lot of people have been sending emails to the CEC to ask for an extension of that 1st of September for the new certification. Yeah, so
we love a deadline in the solar industry.
I always say that, don't we?
A mad rush. I think it's very smart that they've made the VEEX deadline the end of January, not the end of December.
Oh, what with the STCs?
The STC drops every year.
Yeah,
absolute nightmare for everyone.
Yeah,
Whose idea was making it end on a calendar year?
Yeah, it's a bit silly, isn't it? Yeah.
Could you please move that CEC?
Yeah, so that's one thing. So that's something that the industry's working with as a challenge at the moment. So hopefully we can come to a resolution with that. The other thing I wanted to mention is last week in Chiltern, so up near the New South Wales border, there was an off-grid living festival. So I know there was about 10 solar companies who were up there.
Wow.
It seemed to be reasonably large. Everyone on my Facebook feed was talking about it. A lot of really good people in the industry were up there. So I ended up speaking with a lady by the name of Kate, who was her and her husband had actually put this thing together. I think they'd been doing it for a few years out of another little town, not too far away. And they had to expand it into Chiltern this year. There was between 5,000 and 10,000 people there.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
I think she said there was 5,000 people each day. So some of them may have been there both days, but
you can't get around 10 solar companies in one day, can you?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So there was a lot of stuff there was to do with hot water.
Okay.
That was a really big thing with heat pumps.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing they mentioned was there was a huge focus on EVs. Now, before we sort of wrap things up, I just want to quickly mention, I noticed you drive an EV, Astrid. You've done how long have you driven an EV for?
I bought that car during COVID, actually. Yeah. I click and collected an EV from Canterbury Mini in New South Wales, and they sent it to Vic for me.
Oh, you did like a contactless pickup, did you?
Well, no, they had to be contacted the pickup because they had to give me the keys, but I had to call them and wait outside BMW, and the guy sort of let me in and said, I don't know anything about minis or EVs, but here's your keys, off you go.
Yeah, right. Oh, okay.
I do. I love the car, but it's giving me some headaches at times.
Yeah. Yep.
It doesn't like charging from the house for some
reason.
Okay. So it's a bit flat, and I thought if I hop on the train, it's pretty direct, and I can actually get some stuff done. So the car's at home with 10 kilometres on it.
Yeah, okay. You do much driving in it? Do you drive a lot? You live sort of pretty in a city.
Yeah, very metro. I mean, it's often quicker to ride my e-bike than drive somewhere, especially if it's CBD or around Richmond or south of the river. But as the weather changes, I think I'd probably be a bit more in the car and a bit less on the bike.
Yeah,
if it's pouring.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a hell of a lot of EVs around Carrum. There's more and more coming, obviously, and you sometimes you see people doing cruises along, European Highway, that sort of stuff.
I haven't made it to one of those as yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm enough of an enthusiast
to
like sort of froth over everyone else's cars,
Yeah, fair enough.
But it is my favourite car I've ever owned.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to know.
It drives superbly. Like the handling was amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's a Mini with a big heavy battery at the base. So
Yep.
it just sticks to the road.
Sticks to the ground, yeah.
It's like a go-kart, like an expensive go-kart.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I cannot wait for the fall drives to come in EVs.
Yes.
Please.
Utes,
Yeah.
Benz.
Yeah, please move along. EV companies, car companies, whoever you are, please get them out there.
Send some F-150s. Come
on. I'd buy one of them.
I think a lot of people would. A lot of trades.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're hard to. You can't get them basically. I think I heard there's they do conversions for like 200 grand or 250 grand or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can't wait for one to come out. I'm sick of driving my diesel Triton. I do a lot of K's in it, and I want to be able to charge it with solar.
Yeah. It's so cheap to run. Yeah. I mean that is. You really notice it. I put air in the tyre the other day and was in the servo just taking air for free. Like, you don't have anything I want to buy. Sorry.
How good's that?
But looking at the fuel costs, they're obscene.
Yeah, it's been. Yeah, I mean, it's $2.30 a litre sometimes. I think I filled up yesterday for $2.06. That might have been in the last car.
I paid $2.50 in a hire car in Queensland. Yeah. When I was up there the other month, I was like, this is insane.
It is. It gets quite expensive. So anyway, let's hopefully the car companies move along and get their act together with the EVs. It would be great. It would be really, really good. All right. Well, we're pretty much at the end of our show. Do you have any parting words, Astrid, about any of the conversations that we've had today?
Nothing specifically. Thanks for having me. This has been really good.
You've been a great guest. I really appreciate all the stuff you've spoken about. It's been interesting for me. It's been learning for me, hopefully learning for the listeners as well, and education too about a few things. I've really enjoyed the chat too.
We talk about the problems and hopefully the solutions are all on the way. Yeah,
that's right. Well, I think creating awareness about a lot of stuff will help as well. And sometimes we don't always have all of the answers, but unless you have the awareness there, you're never going to come to the answer. So
exactly,
it's a step on the journey.
And everyone working together, I think, is really the key.
Yep.
Stop racing to the bottom and trying to destroy each other in the industry. Like work collaboratively and positively, and the industry can stop breaking people. Yeah,
that'd be great, wouldn't it? Let's all work together rather than against each other. Yeah, that'd some wise words there, I think. No worries. All right, thank you very much. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
No problems at all. Thanks for coming out to Carrum. Also, thanks again to everyone at Radio Carrum for supporting this show and for making it possible. It's much appreciated. And we'll see you all next time, or you can hear us on the radio waves on Solar Sidekicks. Thank you.